Hi, welcome to Reddit Tea Time. My 40 male, son 19 male, moved out for college last year. He completed one semester and then dropped out, stating that academia wasn't for him. He returned home and has been living here the last 6 months. Currently, he's doing odd jobs and applying for something more stable while he figures things out. He helps out around the house and with his siblings. My wife, 39 female, said we need to give him a deadline to move out by. I see that he's making progress. He's saving money for a deposit, he's looking for jobs, and I don't feel a hard deadline is necessary at this time. We've been arguing about this the last 4 months. Saturday, my son's girlfriend spent the night in his room. She left at 6 in the morning yesterday, but my wife and I saw her because we're both early risers. She smiled and waved goodbye to us. It wasn't that big a deal. My wife was pissed and confronted my son. She said he can't have girls, she's 20, over at the house. He said okay, and that was the end of it. She said she doesn't trust him because he didn't argue the point. She said she wants him to leave and is threatening to go stay at a hotel with the kids if I don't give a hard deadline. Is there an option I'm not seeing here? I'm not kicking my kid out. I don't approve of most of his recent decisions, but he has not been disrespectful to me or my wife or inappropriate around his siblings. He isn't keeping any drugs in the house. The only alcohol he's brought into the house is beer, which we always have for our own personal use. He buys food for himself, he cooks, he cleans. My wife said she can't live like this. How do I make this easier for her? What's the compromise here? Now for some comments. Ask her to be very concrete with her concerns, not I can't live like this. Specifically, what is her problem? When your wife comes up with the specifics, if she does, perhaps come up with a list of rules for living at home. It seems as though he already follows appropriate rules such as helping out, saving money, cleaning, etc. I suspect that she doesn't have specifics, just wants him gone. But instead of wondering, you'll know for sure where she's coming from. As a parent of a 19-year-old son, it sounds like your son is acting very mature and responsible, for what it's worth. What do your arguments entail exactly? I'd be curious to hear of some points you've tried making to your wife in defense of letting your son stay at home, which is definitely the right move here, by the way. I have some ideas, but I mean, sheesh, after arguing for 4 months, I can imagine you've covered a lot of ground already. I wonder how willing she is to actually see your side. OP replied, she says the house is too crowded. He's an adult now that needs to stand on his own 2 feet, and she feels like she's suffocating. I say he's my kid. 19 is an adult, but also still a teenager. And the house is no more crowded now than it was last year before he graduated from high school. You separate them in your post. Is your wife not the mother of your son? Is there some type of jealousy going on there about you splitting attention between your son and her or your younger children? Did she have a problem with him before she saw the girl leaving in the wee hours? That would certainly be an issue for not wanting younger children to see. But since she confronted him and he said okay, I don't see a further issue there. It seems like he makes her life a little easier by being there with helping with cleaning and childcare. I don't see how you can possibly make it easier for her unless you wait on her hand and foot while she watches TV all day and eats bonbons. I don't see a compromise either, but I can tell you that if someone told me to kick my son out, I'd help them pack their crap and hold the door for them. OP replied, no, she's not. My son is her stepson. Her 3 kids are my stepkids, and we have 1 shared child. Your wife saying she can't live like this anymore is extreme. Is there something else going on that makes her feel like her life is imposed upon? You should talk with her to see what's really going on. Another commenter said, OP mentioned in a comment that has been buried that the son in question is not her son. The 19-year-old is her stepson. 3 of the children are hers alone, and they share 1 child together. What's really going on becomes much clearer when this information is revealed. You know, 20 to 30 years ago, I might have seen your wife's perspective. But it's a different reality now. When I was 20, I was able to hold down a minimum wage job and have enough to live in an apartment with a roommate, pay for a car, and still have enough to eat. That's not possible now, at least not in the US. Your wife set up your son with a no-win scenario. He can't bring a girl home to stay over, and when he agrees he won't, she doesn't believe him. Since when is yes, I agree with that rule not good enough? What does she want him to say? What other responses could there be? Also, ideologically, I find such rules pointless, controlling, and unnecessary. Don't do it. Kids don't stop needing their parents and safety nets at 18. Some kids mature on a straight road. Others take a lot of detours to get to the final destination. Our jobs as parents is to support and guide them, not cut them off while they mature and figure out life. He's not being a freeloader. He's looking and helping and being respectful. Your wife is wrong. Respect your son and your relationship. Don't let your wife come in between that. This should be your line in the sand. She's the one who is out of line and disrespecting you and your son. I, 29 female, have been nannying one child for a family for about a year now. For the first few months, I had no issues or complaints about them as people. They've been very sweet to me, always asking how I'm doing, wanting to get to know me as a person too, of course, because I'm the caregiver of their child. We interact on a professional level, but there's also a level of friendliness that's grown because I'm in their house daily, sometimes take care of their child on weekends when they want a night out for themselves. They're very open with me, so I felt I could also be open with them about more personal things in my life. Starting in February of this year, I started to receive some texts from the father, male 42, outside of work. Nothing seemed weird or red flag-like to me. Looking back though, these were 100% red flags, kind of asking me about my dating life, what the best date I've ever been on was, telling me he'd always be here for me, you're way too good for that guy, I'm glad you're rid of him, things like that. He would start off the text convos asking questions or making comments about his child as a segue, but then began trying to talk to me on a more personal level. Also, he's the one I have to interact with more in person because the mother leaves for work earlier and gets home from work later. I see the mother maybe once or twice a week. As the months have progressed, he's proceeded to message me late at night when he's out drinking with friends, to which I try to give short responses or just react to the messages. He'll either double text me or message me the next day or so. I always felt like I had to respond in some respect because I see him every day and didn't want to make things awkward. At one point back in April, I received this message while I was at work. It said, I have something somewhat awkward to share. I'm getting the sense that my wife, even though she doesn't say this directly, is a little jealous that you and I text, which like I said is a little awkward, but maybe I'll just pretend we don't because it may be better that way. God, that's awkward, sorry. I responded that I agree with her, can 100% see how that could look from her point of view, and don't want to cause any issues. I figured he would stop at this point, but it's continued. I also realized that I should have been firm in putting a stop to these conversations, and I'm kicking myself for it. I have issues with saying no and people pleasing, and especially felt unsure of what to do because he's technically my employer. Flash forward to this past Friday night. He texted me late at night that he was drunk, asked me if I drink, to which I responded no because of the decisions I make while drinking. He told me that he thinks it would be fun to see me drunk and make those decisions, and that he'll make it happen soon. I didn't respond and put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and he messaged me again saying, hey, don't put me on Do Not Disturb. I'm incredibly uncomfortable and feel guilty to an extent too. I have about 8 more months working with this family before they put their child in daycare, and I'm not sure if I should find a new job or discuss this issue with both of them or what. I'm just really confused and anxious right now. Also, not sure if I'm overreacting. Any advice is appreciated. Thanks so much in advance. Edit. Wow, thank you guys for the advice and support. These responses have been extremely thoughtful and helpful. I'm a solo nanny. I don't work for an agency. At this point, after reading all of your replies, I feel like my best option would be to secure a new job. In the meantime, only respond in a group message thread, and when it comes time to quit, explain everything to the wife. I can't control how she responds, but I would feel much more awful leaving her in the dark. Also, this has been a huge lesson for me on personal boundaries and people pleasing. I've struggled with this my whole life, especially with men, but as some of you pointed out, I'm a grown adult, and this situation goes to show that not having firm boundaries can screw you and others over. So I feel super dumb for not nipping this mess in the bud earlier. Thank you. Thank you to everyone again for taking the time to read this and help me out. Now for some comments. If you really want to stick it out, make a group chat with him and his wife. Only reply to messages sent in the group chat. If he sends you a DM, reply in the group chat only. Say you don't want his wife to feel uncomfortable and to keep everything transparent and professional. But yeah, the better idea is to tell the wife and quit. OP replied, you know, I actually did try this a couple of months ago. It lasted approximately 1 day, and then they both started messaging me individually again. Tell the wife, show her the messages. Tell her you're extremely uncomfortable and quit before he tries to pin the blame on you. He's clearly not above that level of scuzz. OP replied, agreed. This is his second marriage and he has kids from that first marriage as well. The first wife has been called crazy, etc. Makes me wonder. It seems to me that in this country there are a lot of families desperately seeking childcare. Perhaps put feelers out for a better work environment and perhaps a pay bump with someone else. You shouldn't be sexually harassed at work. OP replied, 100% agree. They for sure underpay me too compared to what others pay. That combined with harassment is pushing me more to the side of leaving. He's behaving terribly and if you can, I would strongly recommend leaving. You're in a no-win situation. He's done that to you. This isn't one sketchy text. This is a pattern of behavior. Since the beginning of time when women who are drawn into dalliances with men who almost always have more power, the woman is the one who loses. Their job, their reputation, home record, the community turning against them, etc. and their behavior, clothing, blah blah blah, is scrutinized. My advice is to show his wife the receipts and quit as quickly as you can. I'm so sorry this happened to you. I, 20 female, have been together with my boyfriend, 23 male, for 8 months and this is a really insane situation. I was staying the night at my boyfriend's apartment and I really wanted to walk with him to the nearby shop so that I could buy a horchata, and for whatever reason, he didn't want to go. He started trying to make excuses like, we're both white so it'll look weird. But I just told him that I was going to run in really quick and all I wanted was for him to walk me since it was like 11 p.m. He finally agreed but said he needed to shower and get dressed, even though we were just going to a small little shop. But I know he really cares about his appearance so I didn't mind. Anyway, I typically wear bras but recently, this brand of bras that I have is causing rashes and discomfort, so I just figured since we were going on like a 5-minute walk that I would just put on a baggy shirt and be fine. We started walking to the place and right about the time we got there, he somehow noticed and said, "Are you not wearing an effing bra?" When I explained that my bra was leaving me with a rash and it's not a big deal, he started screaming at me and saying that I'm trying to be loose, and he knew I was going to pull some BS. He was screaming to the point where some guys outside the shop were staring. He then turned around and started walking back to his apartment, so I just stood there shocked and I could feel my throat quivering. Eventually, I started following him since I didn't want to be left in the middle of the night and never got my horchata. He went to bed and I slept on his couch, and then when he woke up today, he acted like nothing happened. I'm not sure if I should brush his freak out off or confront him about it. He was probably tired and that's mainly why he acted that way. But he has always been weird about me wearing skinny jeans too, so I just hope he won't continue this or get worse. How should I go about this? Now for some comments. When you're tired, do you call him names? Bet you don't. Why excuse him for this terrible behavior? If he could do that in public without provocation, he'd do it again in private, likely ending in an assault. Don't wait for him to beat you up. If you didn't run away yesterday, do it today and don't look back. Good grief, just break up. He has too many issues and is a walking red flag. Shower and get dressed to go out of the house for 20 minutes? That's weird to me. Cussing you out and name-calling because you didn't put on a bra? That's a huge red flag. And the fact he doesn't want you to wear skinny jeans? Nope. Just break up. It'll only get worse. Not to mention him not wanting her to go because they're both white? Girl, run. What would you tell your sister or your best friend if her boyfriend screamed at her and verbally abused her for not wearing a bra? Just move on, you deserve better. Leave. My ex did the exact same thing on my birthday in the first 4 months and it just got worse and worse and worse. First it was about bras, then it was about wearing lingerie, then it was about wearing high heels because he thought I wanted to flirt with men. Then it was about talking with coworkers and it goes on and on. This is the first sign and hopefully you'll listen to it. This is either the beginning of an abusive relationship or the end of an abusive relationship. It's up to you to decide which one. It will only get worse if you stay.
What do you think? Please let me know in the comments below. If you liked this story and you've made it this far, please consider subscribing. I really appreciate you spending your valuable time with me. Hopefully, I'll see you in the next Reddit story. In the meantime, please take care of yourself. Bye for now.